right, great pleasure to welcome to the show Tom Homan, board czar. I'm going to call it the great Tom Homan, board czar. Because, Mr. Homan, you're doing one heck of a good job. You know, I just wanted to think, yesterday on one of the Sunday talk shows, you were saying how, you know, federal law is going to trump local law, and you're going to go in under the current federal statutes. All these people whining, you know, the mayor, Mayor Wu and Mayor Johnson in Chicago and other people. Is that just a lot of virtue signaling, right? They know at the end the law's on your side and you're going to keep doing it relentlessly?
Well, I think we're proving it, right? I mean, Mayor Wu testified I lied about, you know, sanctuary city status in Massachusetts and Boston not working with ICE. Well, I promised I was going to go to Boston, and I went to Boston last Tuesday and kicked off an operation in Boston and the surrounding area. And in 5 days, we arrested 370 illegal aliens, the majority of them public safety threats, including murderers, child rapists, armed robbers, and TDA members. So, you know, the men and women of ICE made Boston and Massachusetts safer from the operation they did there last week. And we're going to go back again. We're going to keep going back because we're going to keep President Trump's promise on targeting the worst first.
And you were in Chicago, where there was similar virtue signaling, but you went in anyway, rooted out the criminals. The amazing thing to me is, Tom, that you went into New York, and you know, I didn't hear much bellyache. I mean, Eric Adams helped you out, it seems to me. You went in with Kristi Noem. New York was probably the biggest surprise.
Well, look, I sat down with Mayor Adams. I started talking to Mayor Adams in November. We're getting really close to an agreement of getting back into Rikers Island. Mayor Adams, a career cop, he saw the light. I mean, he wants to help remove public safety threat illegal aliens from his community. We want to start by getting to Rikers Island. But look, we made it clear in our meeting, he doesn't want to be an immigration officer. I don't want him to be an immigration officer. Leave that to us. But when it comes to significant public safety threats and national security threats, when it comes to finding over 300,000 missing children or traffic in this country, he's on board. He wants to do the right thing.
Now, let me ask you about the other side of this, the deportation strategy, which is so very important. And you got off to a big running start until we come up against this phony left-wing activist judge, whatever his name is, Boasberg. Okay. What's the deal here? Once again today, he blocked using the Alien Enemies Act of 1789. Tom Homan, what's your strategy now? How do you react to this? I know it's under appeal. I don't know what the appeal is going to look like. How does this impact you?
Well, you know, the Alien Enemies Act under litigation. I'm not, you know, we'll let DOJ handle that, but we're going to keep arresting TDA members. We're going to keep arresting MS-13 members. We're going to keep arresting public safety threats all this nation. Now, when it comes to the Alien Enemies Act, you know, if we're going to remove them through that act, we won't have to wait for litigation. We'll simply detain them. But we're going to take them off the streets. And anybody can remove through Title VIII, we'll remove through Title VIII, which is the order of an immigration judge. But we'll obey the court's order. But I think DOJ, I think eventually will win that order. Then it's game on. But until then, we're going to keep doing what we're doing and taking these public safety threats, especially TDA and MS-13 members off the street across this country. It's a 24/7 operation, and we're going to continue to do that.
And one thing I didn't understand, this guy, this judge, and again, I'm not going to defend him because he's part of all these crazy judges trying to stop Trump from his agenda and your agenda. But I think he said in one of his decisions that other deportation acts are okay. He's not preventing, for example, stuff that's in the Immigration and Naturalization Act. Now, is that a strategy? In other words, do you have other doors, Tom Homan, that you can go through to continue the deportations and, you know, get these criminals out of the country?
Yeah, and we're going to continue to do that. Like I said, through Title VIII and court orders, especially for an immigration judge, we'll continue to do that. But you know, I'm not an attorney, but I can read. I know the Alien Enemy Act says, and that was a law enacted by Congress, voted by Congress, signed by the President. Is it a federal statute? And we're using all statutes we can to remove quickly from the United States terrorists. Let's remember, TDA, not only are they here illegally, they've been designated terrorists, just like MS-13. We're going to do everything we can to remove them quickly. So we're not making this up. It's a statute. It's a federal law. Unlike the last administration, we're not going to ignore the law. We're not going to violate the law. We're going to use the law to do what President Trump has promised American people to address border security and illegal alien crime in this country. That's what the American people voted for, and we're going to keep that promise.
And you mentioned yesterday on one of the shows you're seeking, quoting, operational control of the southern border. Do you think you have it? Are you close to it? And, or, you know, what about these cartels, going after these cartels?
Well, I'll tell you this, you know, under the Biden administration, they're averaging over 1,800 gotaways a day. 1,800 known gotaways. 1,800 people crossed that border, weren't arrested, weren't fingerprinted, weren't vetted. How many of them came from a terrorist-sponsored country? How many of them were drug traffickers or sex traffickers of women and children? How many of them were carrying fentanyl? But we went from an average of over 1,800 a day, known gotaways, to 41.
Wow.
So that's 41 too many. But we want to get that number to 0, and that's what we're working on. But we have more operational control of the border right now than we've ever had in the history of this nation. And President Trump did that in 2 months, which Joe Biden couldn't do in 4 years.
And the last one is on the cartels, going after them. Will the military help you? Is there a role for the ICE agents? I know it's a very vexing problem, Tom. What do you think?
The military absolutely has a role. The military that Pete Hegseth sent to the border is working very closely with the Mexican military. And, you know, the Mexican cartel said they're going to, you know, the rumor has they're going to send drones over and hurt our soldiers, hurt our ICE agents. I wouldn't do that because we got a president in the office, President Trump, who will not tolerate that, and he will wipe you off the face of the earth. So the cartels need to know their place. President Trump has designated these cartels terrorist organizations. We're going to lock them down. They're already losing billions of dollars a week, and our attack on them is going to continue until they're eradicated, which is going to make Mexico happy. Mexico will be a much safer country, too, if the cartels aren't, you know, calling the shots in Mexico.
All right, great stuff. Tom Homan, thank you for your service, sir. We really appreciate it very much. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.